So, Jake, why does a
Hello.
traffic light turn red?
I don't know. Why does it turn red?
If you had to change in front of everyone, you'd turn red too.
That's actually funny. That's a clever play on words.
Yes, unlike the one we did earlier today.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another baddie.
Yes. Anyway, hello and welcome to the next Doctor Who reaction for Series 3, Episode 3. Last time, we had the Shakespeare Code, which both Jake and Adam gave it 10 out of 10 for.
It was great.
It was great. And I gave it a 9.5, which is no insult. But yeah, it was fantastic. It was so much fun. But now we move on to Gridlock. So, Jake, your thoughts going into Gridlock?
Well, I remember saying it would be funny if we were stuck in traffic for a whole episode, and it was just a good comedy in a car. But I'll be honest, I don't really want that.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, what do you want? Do you know?
I don't know. No, I don't really know.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't really know at all.
Well, obviously we got Adam here because it's a Doctor Who reaction, specifically Series 3. And if you want to check out our full-length reaction, we have that at Patreon. We also have Twitter, Discord, Letterboxd. That's all in the description as well. But yeah, shall we crack into Gridlock?
Absolutely.
No, please. Please. I didn't want it.
Drive safely. So signing off. Missing you already.
Oof.
Oh. Okay.
Frima Agumon. Your favourite name?
Lagman. Ashuman.
Russell T Davies.
Ah.
Can we go to yours?
Oh, Davies.
Ah.
Oh.
I told you it was a trilogy, Jake.
Has arrived.
What should I do?
Find him
It's Bo.
before it's too late.
Oh.
Sweet Jesus. Something just fell from my shelf. It's fine.
Do you like some happy?
Oh. I never realised that before. That she's the daughter of the people we saw in the cold open.
Yeah.
I never put that together before.
Uh-oh.
Well, that'll happen quickly.
That's it. Come on. That's it.
Oh, I love that guitar string.
Closing tonight.
Okay.
No more drugs for you.
No more happy, only sad. Those pickled eggs? Pickled onions?
Is it sauerkraut? Applegrass.
Did it last week. Scan said it's going to be a boy.
Right. What do I do now? Congratulate my kidnappers.
Oh, we're not kid. About 6 years.
What?
What?
We just intend to start school.
I didn't want this. I was kidding. I was kidding.
10 miles in 6 years. You can see why.
It was a joke.
Imagine picking that nose.
That's disgusting.
Look at those kitties.
Excuse me, I'm allergic to cats.
Maybe it's Moses from Small Worlds, Jake.
Maybe.
I think he's a bit slow.
I think you're a bit slow. That is a lot of traffic.
Oh, someone's cutting lines.
I don't think anyone.
They're going to the fast lane.
You down there. Rumor has it you can reach up to 30 miles per hour.
Wow, that sounds crazy.
Okay.
Oh, now the this is brilliant. Car 465 Diamond 6 on descent to fast lane.
Ate a poo biscuit.
It's completely enclosed.
What about the other cars? Oh, we've got contact with them, yeah. Well, some of them anyway. They've got to be on your friends list. Now let's see.
She's inside one of these vehicles, but I don't know which one.
Wait a minute.
Just my luck to marry a car spotter.
Anything more specific?
All in good time.
I can't believe it.
First game show is now this. This show just wants to punish you, Jake.
What the fuck is going on?
It's like a community anthem.
That's so cool.
What, the motorway?
Yeah. It's like... It's like what I imagine like normal life in Blade Runner would be.
That, like, song they sing is all they have, because what hope is left, you know?
Yeah. Well, we in the fast lane, baby.
Bye then.
Imagine someone just jumping into your car.
How are you? Sorry, motorway. Have a nice day.
It's quite dangerous what he's doing.
Comments have been noted. Do you mind if I borrow this? Not my colour, but thank you very much.
Very prescient.
Need a N95
Whoa!
mask, mate. Oh.
Did you notice the magazine was called Hang Out? The red blood cell and the white blood cell.
Kraken.
Whatever. You got any water?
Certainly. Never let it be said I've lost my manners. Shapes.
They're alive.
Hell are they?
There's the crab rave down there.
Guess I'll die.
Billions. They must have devolved down the years. Now they're just beasts. But they're still hungry, and my friend's down there.
Oh, it's like New Times Square in here.
Novice Haynes! No, hold on, get off. Last time we met, you were breeding humans for experimentation.
I've sought forgiveness, Doctor, for so many years.
How long's it been like this?
24 years.
Who's we? How did you survive?
He protected me. And he has waited for you these long years.
Doctor.
Car 465 Diamond 6 is still registers, that's Martha. I knew she was good. Novice Haynes!
Doctor.
Yeah, hold on, not now.
I give you my last.
Don't dying on me, you big old face! You gotta see this!
Big old face.
What is it? Children, it's the sunlight.
Sorry, no, Sally Calypso. She was just a hologram.
the sky below.
They haven't seen Sky for like 20 years. That'd be pretty euphoric.
Quite a while since I saw you, Martha Jones.
What's that?
It's the face of Bo, it's alright. Come say hello. And this is Hank. She's a cat. Don't worry. He's the one that saved you, not me.
My lord, it says that the face of Bo will speak his final secret to a traveler.
I am the last of my kind, as you are the last of yours, Doctor.
That's why we have to survive. Both of us.
But know this, Time Lord. You are not alone.
I think I've got numbers, Haim. Here's what every city needs. Cats in charge. Come on. Tell me wrong.
But what did he mean? You've got me. Is that what he meant?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
Sorry. Alright, you staying?
Till you talk to me properly, yes. He said last of your kind. What does that mean?
It really doesn't matter.
You don't talk. You never say. Why not?
I lied to you. Because I liked it. I could pretend. Just for a bit, I could imagine they were still alive. Underneath the burnt orange sky. I'm not just a Time Lord. I'm the last of the Time Lords. There was a war. A time war. The last great time war. My people fought a race called the Daleks. They lost. Everyone lost. They're all gone now. My family. Oh, you should have seen it, that old planet. The second sun would rise in the south and the mountains would shine. Breathe would blow through the branches of the soul.
Alright, pause there. Okay. Jake, you there?
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Gridlock?
Man, this series is not missing yet, has it?
Mm-hmm.
That was fucking amazing.
Yes.
I know you can't see it, but the people watching can. I have water in my eyes. I'm nearly in tears. Nearly.
Same.
That was one of the fucking best things I've ever watched. Holy shit.
It just like Bad Wolf, it started out with a premise that you weren't keen on and flipped it around.
Oh, it's not that I wasn't keen on it. It was just hilarious that
was what you
was
guessed.
that concept. Yeah. Man, there was just so much excitement in that. There was like just the perfect amount of backstory, perfect amount of lore telling, the perfect amount of suspense, and like there's not really many loopholes that they jump to. I mean, I guess the main one being Bo giving his life force to open the city.
We'll get
up,
to that
but, I mean,
eventually.
Yeah.
We'll get to that
Yeah.
eventually.
But, like-
There is an explanation for it, but I can't quite tell you what it is yet.
Okay. But
Not in this review.
like-
I can't tell you what it
Okay.
is yet.
Okay. The storytelling in this episode is so fucking good. It's insane.
I would like to go out on a limb and say that when I watched this show as a child for the first time, this was the episode where David Tennant became my favorite Doctor. Because his performance, especially in the last 10 minutes, is one of my favorites I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever. It's...
This started as an episode that was like, okay, this is a bit weird. And it
just like any Russell
kept
episode,
getting
really.
better. It just kept getting better and better. All the different cars were perfectly themed. Everyone was so quirky, and it was so cool, and just, I don't know.
Yeah.
No detail was left half-assed.
No stone was left unturned.
Yeah.
And not only was it a brilliant concept, and a great way to round off the New Earth trilogy, might I add, like with its world building and all that, and the brilliant subtext of all the politicians dying, a disease that killed the world in 7 minutes flat. So that's something that we can relate to now.
Yeah, it's true.
And the fact that them being on the motorway at first seemed like something. At first it was like, okay, maybe this is some corporation that's abusing the population so they can live in the riches as they live in the poor. But then it's revealed that it was actually done to save their lives.
Yeah.
And that is such a good twist.
When we were in that motorway thing, I'm like, man, this is a cool dystopic story. But it wasn't really a dystopic story. I mean, it kind of is in a little way, but yeah. Holy crap.
But the last, 20 minutes of this episode is some of my favorite Doctor Who ever.
So, I mean, we just watched that Torchwood episode, and it was like, okay, Act 1, Act 2 was good. Man. And Act 3 was average. This was like perfect Act 1, perfect Act 2, perfect Act 3. Just perfectly paced. Everything happened at the right times, and nothing... Oh, man, it was so good.
And I know I've already mentioned it, but I just want to again reiterate, the acting from David Tennant in this episode was just absolutely sublime.
Incredible.
The way he used pauses between his lines to just rip your heart out was just... I love that bit where Martha wants him to talk, and he takes a few seconds to let it out, because he's so insecure about it. This to me is the pinnacle of character development. It is this for me does what Dalek did for Christopher Eccleston's Doctor in terms of character development. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like David Tennant was the best actor in this, dude. Even the fucking side characters were
everyone
brilliant.
Everyone, even the people in costumes like Brannigan, like Novice Haim, the fucking
that's what I mean.
the voice actor for Face of Bo as well.
Yeah. They're like a couple that are just having a baby, and they're all super excited about life and everything, and like they weren't cringy, they were just, believable in a way.
Oh man.
Man.
Yeah, so
It's
do you
brilliant.
want to say anything else, Jake, before I pass it?
I'll say it at the end.
All right, Adam, your turn.
Fucking perfect television. I don't even know where to start with this one. It's the perfect fun episode. It's the perfect episode for character growth. It's the perfect episode for music. It's the perfect episode for direction. It's the perfect episode for pacing. It's the perfect episode for just our sheer weird fucking Doctor Who concept of taking something seemingly normal and making it alien and confronting and weird and disturbing and nihilistic, which seems to be a trait of Russell T Davies in particular. And it's so moving. Like, it starts out as kind of like a really sort of goofy but interesting kind of episode with the sort of running undercurrent that the Doctor is trying to recapture that feeling that he had with Rose and failing to do so with Martha, whilst Martha is trying to connect to him on a different level. Even though, yes, she fancies him, there's something more going on there. And the fact that throughout this episode, she goes through this experience where she thinks she could die, but she has faith in the Doctor, and the Doctor comes to save the day by the end. But even then, she doesn't just sort of go, okay, the Doctor's always right, and then moves on. She puts her foot down and says, no, if we are to continue, if I'm going home, I want to know. I've just seen enough. I want to know what the hell is going on with you. And at that point, like Connor said, for me, that's when David Tennant became my doctor growing up. That moment with the music, the directing, and David Tennant's and Freema Agyeman's beautiful performances. Everything just works. It all builds up, because the whole thing is a fun episode with some incredibly creative stuff with all the different...
Well, just want to pinpoint just a little detail is that in the TARDIS at the very beginning, she said, "Can we go to Gallifrey? Like, can we go to your home?" And then that ties into the very ending when he explains why they can't.
That's the point I was about to make, is the fact that the whole episode is technically, it's about Gridlock and the whole city is actually dead and these people are living in false hope, when actually what it's about is the Doctor and Martha's relationship and the Doctor's grief over Gallifrey being so powerful. And all of this stuff is to play into the characters, and it's just genius. It's just genius.
Yeah. And I can pinpoint the exact... Like, I always tear up at this episode around the time the Face of Bo dies. But I can pinpoint the exact moment when tears run from my eyes is when he's sitting down and he looks up at the sky and smiles, thinking of Gallifrey.
Yeah.
That is...
Starts talking about the sun rising.
It is so powerful. It is so powerful.
And when he says you should have seen it, there's just so much going on there. Yeah. It's incredible.
It was cool how, like, he was, obviously very reluctant to talk about it because it's such a troublesome thing to recollect those thoughts. But then, like, once he starts getting into it, it's kind of like therapeutic in a way. It felt like to be able to talk to someone about that.
And just
absolutely
the fact that finally he's being honest with Martha.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah.
It feels like we've gone through a whole series arc in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But it's completely earned.
Absolutely. It's not that it feels rushed or anything. It absolutely works. It's just the emotional weight of it feels like something you'd see in a finale, not the 3rd episode in.
Yeah. And that means from there you can do even more stuff if you want.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, this is an absolute masterpiece of an episode. It's mwah. I love it.
Yeah.
Just oh man. And like I loved it's a really funny episode as well. Like you've got the old ladies. You've got one that's like a car spotter, which is a real thing. There's actual car spotters out there. And the fact that she's a car spotter was great. And I love how you get all the, like, with this episode, they show you all the different cars and all the different people and their weird quirks and whatnot. Like, you've got the white and red blood cells, you've got the, you got, like, the...
British Dandy,
you got the Weeaboo, you've got the hairy, like, beast with the 2 women, you've got a whole bunch of cars with different things. Obviously, you got the, Brannigan, the cat, and his wife and their children. Yeah, and it shows this, like, and they've also got Milo and she with their baby and the shit biscuit. That was hilarious. But I just love the fact that you have all these people and they're all so different, and yet they are bonded by this song.
By this one hymn. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, it's so touching. And the reason why Martha recognizes it is because it's an old hymn from her time on Earth. So even she knows the song. That's how old the song is, and it's the one thing with all the bleakness of the motorway and the fact that they're all denying the fact that they're all doomed. It's the one thing that's uniting them in hope.
And also, sorry, go ahead.
What were you gonna say, Jake?
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
It was it was just the fact that particular hymn comes back when the Doctor is opening himself up to Martha. This idea of companionship and union being subconsciously tapped into when that piece of... Because he could have easily had a piece of score playing as opposed to something that they diegetically heard in the episode. The fact that they chose to play that over the top of what was happening really tied together just in a really beautiful bow the whole
beautiful
point
bow
of the episode.
Face of bow. Yeah. And I love the fact that this because obviously New Earth was a bit dodgy, but I love the way he took things that were set up in New Earth and made it a sequel.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Like especially with Novice Haim was obviously one of the villains from New Earth, and now she's older and is a protagonist. Like she's turned her life around under the protection of the face of Bo, and I love that. I love the way that Russell did that with his world building. And again, it's like it shows the whole thing of redemption. Like redemption, that's a whole nother thing. Like this episode is just, it's packed with everything.
Whilst also being a really fun episode with a really goofy concept.
Also, there's a classic Who villain in it. The fucking Macro are here as well. And they're awesome. Like, you get some great action sequences with the Macro with their, like, pincers trying to bite the bus. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And I loved the way in exposition the Doctor he explained what happened between the Macro Terror and Gridlock. The fact that they're billions of years ago they had this civilization where they owned humans, and now they've decayed into like beasts.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's cool. And I just loved the setting of like all the cars. It was crazy how it was such a large motorway with all these cars, yet it was still claustrophobic. Because of all the gas.
Yeah, like you couldn't move around anywhere or anything.
Yeah. Oh, and how did we fucking forget? This episode is also a commentary on drugs.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's just this, it's so much going on.
Yeah. It's so much going on, but it's not a mess like New Earth. It's so streamlined and brilliantly written.
The pace and the structure are incredible. Incredible.
And
I think it's coming back. I remember you said on one of the other episodes they've had more time to develop these episodes now, and it's really showing.
Yeah, like, they feel as nuanced as the Series 1 scripts, I feel.
Yeah.
And there were some of the Series 2 ones that were the ones that were written more later, like Impossible Planet Satan Pit, for example. But some of the earlier ones were a bit shambolic together, whereas these ones feel like they've had the time to really let them breathe, and it's so worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another small detail I love about this episode is that when Martha gets taken, which is a great scene anyway, how she just suddenly gets captured by these people, and the whole motivation behind it is that they need a third person to get in the fast lane, so that they can see their child grow up on the surface. Like that's a great motivation.
It was weird how they're just like, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm really sorry. I just got to take you. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I know.
And then you're just like, what the fuck? Why are you sorry?
And like the motivation behind the crime makes sense. But the one of the details I loved about that is obviously the music building up to it was brilliant, and then the way it dropped was great. But the scream that the Doctor makes on the stairwell is the same scream that he made when Rose was flying into the void in Doomsday. Except instead of saying Rose, he says Martha. And I love that. I love that how it's like he lost Rose not like quite recently, and he's like, I don't want to lose Martha. I don't want to do it again. And that's why he's so determined to find her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so much going on. Like if you just watch this episode by itself, it's a pretty fun episode with quite a punchy ending, like a powerful ending.
Yeah.
But with all the context of the previous 2 seasons, and even things that were brought up in the Christmas specials, for example, with how the Doctor needs someone to be around, otherwise he completely loses himself. There's so much going on that just elevates it to this other level.
And if you've been watching since the 60s, you'll recognize the Macro.
Exactly. Like even exactly. For us as classic fans, there's even more stuff going on top of that.
Oh, it's absolutely sublime. Everything about this episode is just top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Bloody brilliant. Are we going to say anything else about the episode, or shall we get into the clip?
I don't got anything. It's one of those things where it was so good, I just don't really know what else to say.
Apart from, obviously, we'll get into the direction of music after, but just about the story itself.
I think it was in one of our Torch reviews, we went over this where, like, either you've got something that's so good, you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Or something that's kind of average and you don't know what to say. Yeah.
Yeah,
this isn't something where you can sort of necessarily quantify why everything just works, but it just does.
It just does, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. So for people watching, this is a clip from the Doctor Who story called The Time Monster, which funnily enough, Adam and I are meant to be doing a review to at some point, because I haven't actually seen this story before, but I have seen this clip. And
Yes.
it is a clip from the story of The Time Monster, and it is called Memories of Gallifrey.
What are we going to do?
We'll just have to play it by ear, won't we?
What happens if the Master wins?
If the Master opens the floodgates of Kronos' power, all order and all
Kronos.
structure will be swept away. Nothing will be left but chaos. I felt like that once when I was young. It was the blackest day of my life.
Why?
Ah, well, that's another story. I'll tell you about it one day. The point is, that day was not only my blackest, it was also my best. Well, when I was a little boy, we used to live in a house that was perched halfway up the top of a mountain. And behind our house, there sat under a tree an old man, a hermit, a monk, learned the secret of life. So, when my black day came, I went and asked him to help me.
He told you the secret? And what was it?
Well, I'm coming to that, Joe, in my own time. Bleak and cold it was. A few bare rocks with some weeds sprouting from them. And some pathetic little patches of sludgy snow. Yes, it was just grey. Grey, grey, grey. And the old man himself he was as brittle and dry as a leaf in the autumn.
What did he say?
Nothing. Not a word. He just sat there silently, expressionless. And he listened whilst I poured out my troubles to him. When I'd finished, he lifted a skeletal hand and he pointed. Do you know what he pointed at?
No.
A flower. I looked at it for a moment, and suddenly I saw it through his eyes. It was simply glowing with life, like a perfectly cut jewel. The colors were deeper and richer than anything you can possibly imagine. Yes, it was the daisiest daisy I'd ever seen.
And that was the secret of life? A daisy? Honestly, Doctor.
And I ran down that mountain, and I found that the rocks weren't grey at all. They were red and brown, and purple and gold. And those pathetic little patches of sludgy snow, they were shining white in the sunlight. You still frightened, Joe?
No.
So a similar sort of thing to what we got at the end of Gridlock, talking about Gallifrey, little story.
Bit of ruminating.
I really like that clip.
Absolutely.
It's nice.
I love the way how it's like how the way he tells the story. It's almost like he couldn't see what his home really was until he looked at it in a certain angle, and like the old hermit told him to be more optimistic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice metaphor, I think, and I love how, in fact, connecting with this story we just watched, the fact that his pessimism turned to optimism and he started to see the beauty of Gallifrey, for that to now turn around here where he's now reminiscing about Gallifrey and now that it's gone.
Yeah.
I think that's actually, funnily enough, it's actually a happy accident that I've chosen that instead of what we were going to watch.
Yeah, it definitely feels more prescient. It feels more relevant to the whole arc and everything, and just this episode. It's brilliant, just how the Doctor feels about Gallifrey.
Absolutely.
How that's changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really good. And yeah, I mean, it's always good for a bit of pertwee, Adam.
Oh, always. He's the best. Simply after the party of the neutron flare.
he's very posh.
Yes.
I actually did a marathon of season 7 on my channel.
Excellent.
That was great. That was John Pertwee's first season, Jake. But yeah, very, very good clip there, and very applicable for Gridlock.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Gridlock is a well-liked episode, praised for having a complete story and successfully delivering on all of its themes.
Yep.
Travis Figgett from IGN called it the first great episode of the third series. He particularly praised the satire of the traffic jam, Tennant's acting, and the use of Martha as a companion and to aid the Doctor's loss. Ian Berryman from SFX praised the attention to detail of the props department, the appearance of the macra, and the concept of the traffic jam, but felt there were many plot holes. Interesting. He didn't state what they were, though.
It's just classic critics being like, well, there's got to be something wrong.
I can't think of any, to be honest.
Neither can I.
Doesn't pop into my head. I thought it was very well explained. Maybe he wasn't paying attention. Someone said it was too busy and chaotic to get a proper grip on, but subsequent viewings proved that these qualities are actually the backbone of the story. Ah, there we go. That's what I like to see. Reappraisal.
Well, it just moves at such a clip. It, like, you get a little bit of calm just before they exit the TARDIS, but as soon as they exit the TARDIS, hard rain, you get the shopkeepers are all in your face, and then as soon as they realise something's going wrong there, and the daughter of the people who were killed by the macro in the cold open, she puts on the forget establishing the drugs, and all the stuff's going on, and then immediately Martha is kidnapped, and you're like, bam, we're on an adventure, and it doesn't let up until the end. When finally we get a moment of resolution between the Doctor and Martha. It is a relentless pace.
Which is funny because, like, the fast pace of the episode, and then you got these cars that have just been sitting there for years and years and years. Like, the contradiction is pretty funny.
I also think it's an achievement in production design, because clearly they had maybe one or two versions of the cockpit, because they're all the same model, that they've redressed and redone, and each one looks so vibrant and so unique with its own personality. And even on top of that, the bloody Council of New York, even though a lot of it was CGI, the whole aesthetic of it and design of it with the skeletons and the slum looked incredible and really tight and cramped.
You know what's crazy? This is a BBC Wales TV production, and at the end of the story, when New York was like revealed, it looked about as good as Coruscant did in the prequels. Like, it was that level of CGI in terms of its design. I thought that was really impressive for a TV show.
And also just the colouring of it when they went over to the sky and the sun was just burning through, and all the cars were just in silhouette with and it's one of the best uses of lens flare I've ever seen, because it's so applicable to what's going on.
Absolutely. Now, there was one that I'm just read here. Someone has tried to criticize this episode for having a plot hole, but I can refute it. I can refute this because it's not true. Their criticism was that why didn't the face of Bo just open the roof straight away? And the reason why is because he was waiting for the Doctor to come. That's why. He knew that for him to give his life and basically commit suicide to save their lives, he had to wait for the Doctor to set it up so he could do so, like, technically speaking, because it's not just about the face of Bo giving his life. It's also about the Doctor having to connect all the wires together. He knew how to work the system. And the face of Bo, as we saw in New Earth, knew that that time would come. He could foresee the future. So he had to wait for the Doctor to present the opportune moment before he could give his life. So it's not a plot hole. You're wrong. Debunked.
But it's also important for the Doctor to learn from what has just happened and listen to what the face of Bo said in terms of you are not alone. Actually listen to that and realise it's important that he has the people around him and doesn't neglect them. Because even though he's lost Rose, the face of Bo is clearly aware that he's lost Rose.
Does it just mean that?
Yes.
Does it?
And the whole fact that it ties into what is the whole point of the episode about the companionship and the union, and like with as we were saying before with the anthem, and just all of it ties together. The fact that the face of Bo had to wait for the Doctor to experience this for this to happen. There's stuff going on in the text and subtextually there that had to happen. And sure, maybe it's a stretch for some people, but for me, it just works.
Oh yeah, I mean, he knew that was where he was going from the start, so it makes sense to me. Yeah. But yeah, Russell T Davies wrote this episode, the brilliant boy himself. Fun fact, Russell T Davies has said that this is his favourite episode he ever wrote for the show.
Rightfully
so. It's all downhill from here.
Oh, damn.
It is fine.
Oh, well. Glad this was made, at least.
But, yeah, no, he has said that out of all the episodes he wrote for the show, this is the one he's the most proud of, and I can see why.
Yeah.
Because New Earth was his idea, and he made this works so well.
He like kind of guffed it up on one episode, but then, finished strong.
Well,
that's all you can hope for.
Well, this all started back in End of the World in series 1.
Yeah. I know. But New Earth was like,
it was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But Gridlock is his favorite episode he ever wrote. And the funny thing is that a few years ago they got him to do one of the Target novelizations of episodes, and he wanted to do this one, but they said no, you have to do Rose, you have to do the marketable one, and he's like, because he really wanted to do a novelization of this episode because it's his favorite, but it's not as marketable as the first episode of New Who.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But to be fair, he did do a really good job with that novelization. Like, he did a whole chapter from the point of view of one of the mannequins.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure. And we see the scene with the death of Wilson, who was the person Rose was looking for. Anyway, Davies stated that he based many aspects of New York on Mega City 1 from the anthology comic 2000 AD, including the businessman's appearance of the Max Normal and the Judge Dredd comic books.
Yeah.
Davies is a big old nerd. He also says doing the set of 3 episodes all in one place over multiple seasons was something he always wanted to do. So yeah, good on him. I thought his writing was absolutely impeccable from start to finish. Yeah. It was so creative and so consistent, and it leaves me in tears. So job well done. Another thing that's absolutely brilliant about this episode is the direction.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things about it is all the shots from the point of view of a screen. When they touch the screen and you're inside the screen, that's awesome.
They're so cool. I think also just getting like all those quirky like citizens, like all at the same level of quirkiness, but in their own unique way, which was perfect. Like the way that they all acted just made sense, like reinforced that the last group that you just saw makes sense in that sphere of all those other people. And that was one of the things I liked. That really like broadened the scale for it for me, is like just seeing all these different types of people, because it could have just been the same,
all stuck
basic
in
couple in a cabin that looks like shit, and then
but it was so creative.
I also noticed, because I wanted to take point of it when it happened, but the Doctor doesn't leave Brannigan and his wife until almost exactly halfway through the episode. So there's like this whole build up, and then suddenly he goes on this montage of all these other people who are only on screen for maybe 3 seconds, but so much attention to detail has been put into each and every one of their cabins. It's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. This episode is also a brilliant way to reuse sets.
Yeah.
Like, it was all shot in one set, pretty much, except for the outside stuff. But the stuff in the cars was just the same set redressed. But the geography of the episode, in contrast to New Earth, the geography of the episode was so good that it felt like it was all different cars.
Oh, that was right. The New Earth geography was all over the shop, wasn't it?
Yeah. But this was the opposite. This was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I loved the lighting when they turned off the car at the bottom of the fast lane as well.
Yeah.
That was very tense. And just all the CGI shots were great.
Yeah, they were. They aged well, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike the fairies from Small Worlds.
Yeah, those didn't age well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's also such a satisfying ending for the Face of Bo as well, because we've seen him so many times. We've seen him a few times now, and now we actually see his purpose.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's lived these billions of years for this moment.
Just to tell him that he's always got a friend in need.
But yeah,
you're joking, right? That's not just what it means.
No, it is. It ties into the whole point of the episode, and great and great. Yes, greater in the scale of the think of the Christmas special with Catherine Tate. She says, you need someone, but she's like, it can't be me, because
it doesn't mean there's another Time Lord.
No. It's about how the Doctor needs the companion, which basically elevates this thing that's been a tradition in the whole series, even the classic show. It just elevates that idea even more because of how the Doctor is dealing with grief and how having companions will help that, so long as he learns to deal with it his own self.
Look, I 75% believe you. I believe that, but I also believe that there's another Time Lord.
Well, I mean, they're all dead.
No, well, you never know.
God, you got your theories. I remember, what was it, in the Torchwood review, you said that you think it's Jack's hand in the jar, like he's not human and he had his hand cut off. God,
I'm right, though.
You and your theories. I mean, ever since I double bluffed you with the two sugars, you're coming up with your own theories now.
Yeah, look. I'm not going to be sidelined like that again.
I mean, as we all know, you are the one writing the show, Jake. It's not Russell T Davies. So, got to listen to you, right?
Yeah, I know what's going on.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the director was Richard Clarke. He's also known for directing Life on Mars.
Yep.
Which has an actor, the main actor in Life on Mars, funnily enough, actually appears in this series. You'll get to see them later.
Okay.
This episode uses some of the largest and most complex CGI effects of the series so far. So we've had 2 very expensive episodes in a row because the Shakespeare Code was also very expensive.
Yes.
But New York was very influenced by Coruscant from the Star Wars prequels and also Blade Runner as well.
As you said it feels like a zooming in on a minor character within the Blade Runner universe.
I think the blend of Star Wars and Blade Runner is exactly what it is. Like, it's such a brilliant blend of it has the scale of a Star Wars planet, but it has the style of Blade Runner, and it gives it that grounded edge to it that makes it special. I need to rewatch Blade Runner soon. It's about time.
Same.
And Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
that's also great.
I'll watch them both back to back one day.
Villeneuve has not made a bad film.
I'm
in my opinion.
looking forward to his June.
Oh, fuck yes. Fuck yes. Fear is the mind killer. Absolutely. God, it looks good. Anyway, sorry.
The production team shot for 4 days in the 6 foot by 6 foot car, which Davies called a nightmare because not many camera angles were available and only one crew member could adjust the props and the lighting at a time. In addition, smoke was generated around the car so it would blend in with the CGI smoke from the CGI cars. The small set was intended to benefit the actors as they would feel claustrophobic. For scene in which the Doctor jumps from car to car, the underside of the car was built and suspended 10 to 15 feet above the top of the car set with a green screen all around to get as many angles as possible. Davies preferred action sequences that moved up and down a scale that is not seen much on television. That's very true. It's a very interesting action scene that you don't really see up and down.
Yeah.
You know, it's normally all horizontal.
Yes, but direction was sublime.
Yeah, totally.
And another thing that I absolutely loved about the episode was the music by Murray Gold.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the first time for me that it's a piece of music called All the Strange, Strange Creatures, or something like that. It's the first time, in my opinion, where it really just hits. As soon as it kicks in, it's like, oh shit, the Doctor is here. Oh it's so good. It's one of my favorite pieces of music. Like the Martha theme is one of my favorite pieces of music ever composed. But it's the first time when I hear it and it goes like, oh, this song means business. Things are going down because everything is so nihilistic, but that song is so driving and is full of pace and energy, and it represents the Doctor's mind sparking, whilst it also has this little touches of melancholy throughout, like the Doctor himself. It's genius.
The funny thing is, in this track thing that we're about to do, we have not 1, not 2, but 3 tracks to listen to, and none of them are that one. That just goes to show how filled to the brim the soundtrack for this episode is. Because I've put All the Strange Creatures later on in the series for an episode that didn't have an applicable one, but it did play that song. But yeah, Jake, do you want to talk about the music before we get into the tracks?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really. Well, I don't know. There was a lot going on, so it was hard to sit and listen to the music.
Okay, do you want to listen to the tracks and it might remind you, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 3 tracks to listen to for this episode.
Woo!
So the first one is actually from the series 1 and 2 soundtrack, and it played first in New Earth, and it played in this. The first track is called The Face of Bo. So that was the first one.
Fucking hell. So good.
Yeah. So that was The Face of Bone. That played first in New Earth, and it also played I think it may have played at the start of this one. And off that, we will listen to the second track straight away, which is the same track again, but remixed, and it is just called Bo. Alright, Jake, your thoughts on that?
I really like the first one. I think the second one was good, but it was definitely a loopy one, which is okay. I think it was one of those ones where that played out throughout a scene, and I probably didn't recognize. Well, I didn't really listen out for it, so I was probably too engaged in the story at that point. So I'm assuming that's when Bo dies, and then they're going back or something like that. But that first one, there's this synth sound in the background that like drops down, and it sounds so cool. I really like that.
Yeah, well, I think what I love about the two different versions is that in the first one, it's still him. It still represents him in his glass chamber, like his cage.
Yeah.
And it's very quiet and it's old sounding. But then with this one, I feel like the second version, it really him being outside the glass, saving the city. It's a lot more open, And
it's more, it's like a weird, one of those weird songs that like it's melancholic, but it's not really melancholic at the same time. It's like got a tinge of optimism to it still, like, which kind of is what that scene felt like. It was like, you know, he died and everything, so it's sad, but the things that happened because of his death were the best things that could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Adam, you give your little.
Well, it's just very much echoed. There's this sort of bittersweet quality to it. It's very down and dour because it is sort of like a funeral march, but it's a funeral march that presents itself with hope at the other side, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It just sort of grows into this thing which feels much more like a sigh of relief. Like Bo let out as he died, it feels like a weight has been lifted off a metaphorical chest, you know? It feels resolute. Yeah. And that's pretty much what I've got to say about it. It's just a brilliant piece of music that just hits exactly the emotional beats it needs to work within the scenario and also have its own things going on as well. Brilliant.
Yep. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so the third track that we're going to be listening to is the hymn of the city called Abide With Me. Abide with me, fast falls the ignorant tide. When others and comforts thee, helpless, Lord, abide with me. As joys grow dim, its glories pass away. Around I see, abide with me. So all vocal for that one. Just the BBC orchestra singing.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think it not only is great symbolism for New Earth as a culture, but I think it's so fitting for the Doctor-companion relationship as well. Because
Absolutely.
abiding with someone is accepting or acting in accordance with a rule decision and sort of being able to tolerate someone. And it's kind of representing the whole thing of like, the Doctor is flawed and has lied to Martha.
Yeah.
But it's what he's trying to say to her is abide with me. You know?
Yeah. But it's also everyone else as well in that world, you know?
Absolutely.
They're all playing along to these rules that are keeping order in check. So as long as everyone abides with them together, then they'll all survive together.
For a futile reason.
Yeah.
It's, it's death. Option A, death, or option B, death.
Yeah.
Then the Doctor comes along and provides option C.
I think
survival.
One of the things that I love the most about Russell T Davies' writing is the way that the amount of importance he puts on side characters.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole reason Love and Monsters exists, is because he has a passion for side characters. And not just side characters, but like, in the real world, normal humans that don't have a lot of power, but they all have an important life, you know? And that's, again, this episode just echoes that so well.
Yeah.
And I think what's great is that in that, Russell T Davies echoes that with the Doctor, in the sense that the Doctor responds to that. He understands what the whole idea of being a person that's not full of power. He understands that every person that's inside that car means something.
Yeah.
And they have their own families and their own stories, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very human.
Yeah.
It's just
And especially with the Doctor, now that Gallifrey is gone, Earth and the people of Earth have become his new home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's become even...
Humans are his brothers and sisters.
He's become even more connected to them, but at the same time, you've seen the struggles he's had trying to form relationships with humans, and what's happened because of it, because he isn't one, he's still an alien.
Exactly.
And that's just... it's masterful storytelling, I think.
It is genius. It's absolutely genius.
Yes. The Japanese kanji for bad wolf appear on a poster on the wall in the Japanese hippie's car.
No, I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Lovely little reference.
Yeah.
I mean, the bad wolf spread her word all around the place. When she cast out that stuff and parting the ways.
That is true.
So it's just spread everywhere. It's like I've got a friend who actually saw today. He used to put we used to go to this church, right, and they had these stickers, and he would just put them all around bus stops, and he did this 15 years ago, and to this day, if you go to these bus stops, they are still there. You can still see those stickers, and they are everywhere. He went all around Auckland. It was, yeah. It's pretty crazy. It's a bit like Bad Wolf.
Persistent.
Yes. So obviously there's things in here about how it's the trilogy end of the World and New Earth, and you've got the Macro appear for the first time in 40 years since the Macro Terror, which we have reviewed on this channel, so you can go check that out if you want. That was a cracking story. Lovely bit thing.
Was that a C joke?
What?
Did you say that was a Kraken story?
No, I did not intend that.
I thought it was a joke too, but I wasn't sure.
I did not intend
Okay.
that. That was complete coincidence.
That would have been an amazing joke.
I wish I had said that at the start of the episode. Well, to be fair, the traffic light one was pretty good anyway.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. Due to Milo's similar hairstyle, people thought that the Ninth Doctor was going to return.
Oh.
Because apparently his hair looks like Chris Eccleston's hair. That's so weird. He also looks a little bit like Quade Cooper.
Yeah.
God, no one's going to understand that reference. Oh boy. Also, in Small Worlds, this is crossing over with Torchwood. Me and Jake googled. Apparently, fairy bread is only Australia and New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone else is missing out.
Yep.
Bread, butter, and
amazing.
sprinkles. It's very.
They had something called fairy biscuits at a party. What the hell is a fairy biscuit? What about fairy bread down here?
I don't know. Viewership, 8.4 million.
Oh, nice.
Good.
So
Good.
Keep the chunky amount from Shakespeare Code. So it's doing well. It's doing very well. All right. So Jake, give your conclusion and a rating out of 10 for Gridlock.
Look, man. Okay, look here. Look, listen here. I'm sad. I'm not sad in a bad way that I gave the Shakespeare Code a 10. I'm sad because it feels like me giving this episode a 10 doesn't weigh up to the Shakespeare Code, because I'm going to say it. This is way better than the Shakespeare Code.
100%.
And the Shakespeare Code is still a 10. This is better because it has the most succinct story out of any Doctor Who episode that I've watched. The most engaging story, and with different elements throughout the whole thing. The dystopic feel of the world is exactly what I like to see in things. I love dystopic, noirish, nihilistic, bleak things. That's really bad. I should probably stop liking those things.
But at the end of it, it ends on an uplifting note.
Yeah, but at
It's
the
so
end of
hopeful.
it, it's still got this lore building, world building, character building, just intense, universifying things that happen throughout it between the Doctor and Martha, and between the Doctor and other side characters, and just, dude, it would look. Connor, I'm giving this an 11 out of 10.
Oh! You've broken the scale.
I've broken the scale.
Yes.
Oh my
yes,
god.
Good.
Wow. So we've gone from last week where you gave Cyberwoman a 0 to Gridlock an 11 out of 10.
An 11 out of 10. And it's because this is a league above a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Adam, your turn.
Oh, I echo pretty much everything Jake said. I love the Shakespeare Code. 100% totally. But that is not on the same level. I think it is flawless in its own way. But this is something else and something more. And as I said, it's the first time David Tennant became the Doctor in my eyes as a kid. And still to this day, I'm like, that speech at the end is so powerful and so emotional. And it sort of chokes me up. And the whole, the everything about it, the creativity, the nihilism and all this, but then the optimism at the end, it's just fucking sublime. It is incredible. If I could give this an 1,000 out of 10, I would. But I'm going to echo Jake's sentiments. I'm going to say 11 out of 10. Or 10, if you must, but 11. I want to express that this is a flawless episode in my eyes.
Yeah.
This isn't like other episodes which I've ranked really highly and thought, this is great, but there's a couple little things here. No, I love this episode across the board.
Yeah.
And all of the stuff I like a lot. It is incredible.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Gridlock is just... It's not just one of my favourite Doctor episodes, it's one of my favourite episodes of television. And I will never, ever forget what it was like to watch this episode for the first time as a child. And like I said, David Tennant is my favourite Doctor, and it all started with this episode when I watched it as a child. Like, I loved him before, and I loved Christopher Eccleston, but when I watched this episode, I was like, no, he's my favourite, and that's not changed. That's never changed. He's never dropped below number 1, and it's because of how much I love his Doctor in this episode, and how much of a connection I got to him from that final scene. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect, and... Oh, God, I mean, we're breaking all the rules today. I'll give it an 11 out of 10 as well.
Yes!
It's funny, because...
Only Davies could do it.
Only
Davies could do it.
Absolutely, and it's funny, because before we did this today, in my head I was thinking... I was prepping in my head, I was like, is this going to be the one where at the end of the day, at the end of the review, I say, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, all three of us give a 10. Funnily enough, we all gave it an 11 out of 10.
Yeah, we still haven't all given a 10 yet.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Oh.
All an 11.
Just absolutely sublime. Perfect TV. And not just... Because the Shakespeare Code was great too, but this goes above and beyond that.
100%.
Yeah. This hits the fucking mark on every level. So...
Yeah. It's so good, it's hard to talk about it. From my perspective, as a first-time viewer, it's like...
There's a lot.
There's a lot, and it's just so good. It's hard to say what's so good about it, because everything is so good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Outstanding.
It is. It truly is.
So that's a combined total of 33 out of 30?
Yep.
Wow. See, the last time when we did the Shakespeare Code, I was like, I'm not going to fall under this peer pressure, because I was like, no, I'm going to go with my gut feeling. It's a 9.5. But this time, I'm like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. 11 out of 10.
It is 100% 11 out of 10.
Who cares? Who cares? It deserves it. Fucking it deserves it. Oh, man. Well, I mean, what do you want to see next time, Jake?
Look, I don't know if this can be topped. I'm gonna say I don't care if it's a better episode or not, but I want it to still be good. I want it to still be an enjoyable experience, but I really don't think it's gonna live up to this episode. But I'm looking forward to something that is gonna now that Martha and the Doctor have talked about things, maybe we might see some
blossoming relationship happening.
Well, I mean, in a way, like Adam said, the Gridlock kind of caps off this sort of 3-episode character arc. And so, in a way, the next episode will be like a fresh start again.
Like a fresh start, yeah.
Yeah. And I like that.
So we'll see what happens.
And I think in a way, you kind of need to pull things back a bit.
It almost, in a way, also still wrapped up the whole Rose thing as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was that little piece of closure, that little bit of him that needed to open up, but he didn't want to.
Because like now he's let go of Rose. Man, we're still reviewing it at the conclusion, but he's let go of Rose, and now he's letting Martha in, and it's like this new start. It's a fresh slate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
And this is
fresh slate start.
And this is something at the time that was groundbreaking, because this isn't something you never really got in the classic series. A lot of the time in the classic series, like, there would be an episode or two of like Hangover, right? But the thing is, it was almost like when a companion left, another one would come on, and then the show would move on, and that's great and all. But what Davies did here was so different, and the way he made the Doctor feel like an actual intricate person. And the way he naturally had the Doctor have grief over losing this friend that he cared about, and then transition this into, first of all, lying and belittling Martha a bit, but it then resulting in him confessing his truth to her, and that just... Oh, it's so good!
Closure. Closure. It's as you guys are saying, closing the closing one chapter and opening another.
Yeah. Also, David Tennant is one of the best actors to ever live, and if anyone disagrees with that, you're wrong, and you can't convince me otherwise. He is absolutely sublime.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Oh, man.
Exclusive.
Oh, yes. Well, funny thing is, next time we have Series 3, Episode 4, and I can't actually tell you what it's called.
Okay.
We've got
another one of those.
We've got another.
I swear to God, if it's Chris Chibnall with fucking Chip Shitnall with his fucking Cyberwoman shit again. If it's just a fucking Doctor Who remake of that failure of an episode, I will not watch it. I swear to God, I will stand up and walk away.
Imagine going from something the quality of Gridlock to something the quality of Cyberwoman week to week.
We kind of did that with fucking Ghost Machine to
but Ghost Machine's got nothing on Gridlock. Come on.
Oh no. But it was still good.
Oh yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was really good. But yeah. Oh my word. Yeah. Anyway, we will see.
Yes.
We will see you next time for Series 3, Episode 4.
All right.
Goodbye.